To open the very last meeting of the Superintendent of the Year, Bill Olson. Well, as long as we're all standing, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody is here. I'd like to read our board norms. Debate, commentary, and discussion are healthy and open. Listening and speaking are equally important, and both should be done with respect and consideration. Focus is on students and our schools, not politics. Assume best intentions in all discussions. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We need another one over here, please.
Stephanie Studley lost hers.
Here, you give
I got
Stephanie.
extras. No, I
Look
got
at the one I
extras.
got.
That's awesome.
We're also going to use these as fans at graduation.
So motion carries.
Makes a good dartboard,
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I think
I think we have to add it first.
Don't we have to talk about it first and then add it? Like have a motion to
Oh, okay.
consider
Yep.
it and then?
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
You are correct, yes.
Okay, so.
So I made the motion and
Courtney seconded.
Courtney seconded.
So we have now I'm all confused.
I'm sorry,
We have
I
an addendum to
unnecessarily-
add to the consent agenda. So I need a motion to approve the addendum.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in
We have to
favor?
also add the mayor's appointments.
No, that comes later.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did you see all of them? Look, Kathy made it. And the baby made it.
Oh.
Do we have anyone here for public input?
No,
Any public input?
There we
No public
I
input.
think that's where we want to read this, I think.
Nope, we have that later on here.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
This is really got us really out of sorts.
Yeah, we're out of
Yeah,
sorts.
the-
Isn't it, is it,
I-
it's not in here, isn't it?
Bill had thought that maybe we'd put it with the communications.
Okay, go for it.
I-
Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
that's okay.
I missed
Okay.
that. I missed
No,
that.
that's okay.
Okay.
I threw you off with putting the addendum in the wrong spot,
Oh,
so.
good.
Okay. We received, the school board received this letter from the mayor's office, today. Dear Rutland City School Board, I have been notified, School Board Commissioners Sarah Dunges and Justine Franco have submitted their resignations. Per the city charter, chapter 30-2 vacancy, I write today to present names to fill the vacancies until the next election with your approval. It's my honor to nominate Lauren Weiss for your consideration, to fill the vacancy of Sarah Dunges as School Board Commissioner. It is my honor to nominate Dina Goldberg for your consideration to fill the vacancy of Justine Franco as School Board Commissioner. Thank you for your consideration. Kind regards, Mike Dunges, Rutland City Mayor. And so we will be looking by city charter, we will be looking to vote them into place or to vote on their nominations at our next regularly scheduled board meeting in August.
Okay.
I just have a question. Are we going to have an opportunity to meet them? Are they?
At the next meeting in August, we'll have a chance to meet them and ask questions.
Okay.
And then we'll vote or whatever
Okay.
presents itself. Okay, so moving on. We have Colin Fingen.
Me.
That's you.
Hi, thank you guys all for having me. I'd like to pause up front and just say what an honor it is to be here at Bill's last meeting. I've known Bill for many, many years. We have a close working relationship, close friendship. I want to express my gratitude for all you've done for this community, for our children, my children, and the impact you've had here is going to be great. So
Thanks, Colin.
thank you for everything you've done. Now I'm going to flip the script a little bit and just put my Rutland Town School Board hat on and say I'm really here to negotiate tuition rates down for us. You guys are fair enough.
I was like,
You said the word negotiate.
Wow.
like what?
Way to just
Shell
fit
shock
that in
there.
there.
PSD probably hasn't worn off. But, I'm here in my official capacity as a member of the Rutland City Public Schools Foundation, which is a nonprofit sister of the Rutland City Public Schools, started by myself and Peter Amons years ago, out of the ethos of many alumnus groups have scholarship funds that the school is parking in various bank accounts that the school is in charge of and doling out scholarships over the years. And Peter Amons, CFO at the time for the school's idea was, let's pool these funds together, create a foundation with a fiduciary oversight board that we can invest these funds to help these donors have their funds live on in perpetuity. So he did the massive legwork back then to create the foundation, did all the IRS work, the legal work to make it correct away from the school, nonprofit work. And over the years, we've added lots of donations, and our job is to oversee the money, the investment part of it, and then dole out the money that the scholarship committees deem to pick their students. So I'm here for our bylaws, to kind of give you guys our annual report, remind you that we exist, also kind of petition any groups out there that are looking to donate or have scholarships set up. That's what we're here for. I'll be speaking tomorrow at the class of 50s reunion before graduation. We do a pitch to them. We have a lot of classes that have set up scholarships, and we found we've done a very good job managing their money. And again, it's their scholarships, not ours. Our job isn't to pick the students or design the scholarship. It's to really have a centralized pool of funds that we can grow responsibly to make these funds do greater impact for our graduates. Our biggest work in the last year is really taking a look at updating and working with our donors to update our awards to kind of meet with the times. A lot of these awards at graduation have been pretty stagnant for many, many years. Obviously, inflation and what was $500 scholarship 20 years ago doesn't go as far. So we work with our donors to double what our scholarships were. So that's been very impactful, and hopefully be very impactful for our graduates to have a meaningful, not that any money is not meaningful, but certainly keeping up with the times and college costs, that these award winners are now getting a more substantial impact. And we're trying to work with us and the donors to say it's not quantity, it's quality, but look at a smaller amount of awards can have a bigger impact. And we have some tremendous class of 50s, class of 59. Superintendent Mary Moran has a scholarship that goes to first generation college students. So our goal is to just help, the graduates, and you guys do a great job overseeing them while they're in school, and we hope to manage other folks' generosity so that we can impact them moving forward. So I'll pause for questions.
I have a question. So is there a set amount that gets awarded every year, or is it dependent upon the applications received, or how does it work? How does the foundation decide how much to give, and what is the process for students to put themselves in the running to receive it?
So we get driven by the donors. So there's a set amount of awards that Ann Carpenter, or the office up there, kind of instigates and gets that out to the guidance office, is getting those applications out to the students. And our job is to kind of go by we want a $1,500 award for XYZ. We don't award the winners, and dole out the money. So that's our function. However, again, to keep up with times, we went forward this year saying, we reached out to our donors to say, hey, maybe, again, we're not trying to impact the people you're giving it to, but maybe we can convince you to give them a little bit more, and also show them that the growth of the money, since it's not stagnant in a bank account anymore, that the growth over time allows us to up those funds and kind of help them guide, your pool of funds with a specific amount of money the IRS says to continue on to be a nonprofit, that you should be giving X percentage of your funds, and they've grown pretty well, so you can give more. And it's kind of a nice feeling.
If someone wanted to become a donor, what would they do?
They could start by reaching out to the office here, which would probably get them in touch with me, and we could go through that process. We've had a few folks that have done that. We've had a few folks that have donated at death stock over the years. So we accept anybody.
And everybody has this at their table, and we
Yes.
are passing these out as well to the class of 75, so they can see what this is all about. So we have some of these in the office here too, so if someone's watching on TV, I think you mean Karen, right? That's the path, yeah.
Yeah, that's our appeal. Certainly individuals, but the class of 50th class is a nice touch, and last year's class is in the works of getting something up. So we have a set board in the bylaws that the superintendent is on it, the CFO or the CFO's discretion, and we have other members of the community on the board.
Could I thank those people as well? I mean, Colin puts a lot of time into this and his expertise. We have Matt Getty on that board. He's a great legal advisor for us. Joe Kraus and Laura Galster, who works at the hospital, will be joining the board. So we appreciate the expertise and the time that you give us. We meet probably every 6 weeks or 2 months or so.
I extend my gratitude to the business office as an extension of them. To Tim and Allie have done tremendous work behind the scenes for us while they're not official. Well, Tim is on board, but they do a lot of work. So it's a good story to tell, and I'm just part of the story. So. If there are not any more questions, I got to put my school board hat on and go to my school board.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you
See
for
in a year.
coming.
We look forward to it.
Okay. So we now have another very last student representative report from Amaya.
I'll do it. RIS recently welcomed author Daryl Cobb for a day where he performed for the whole school and spoke about his writing process. He was also able to meet with small groups of students throughout the day. Every student received one of his books signed by him. Our 6th grade is enjoying their taste of being a middle schooler through the participation in Yes Plan. After a little juggling of schedules, we were able to hold our field day yesterday. This day often comes up as a favorite memory for our students. We held our BRIS assembly for 6th grade and again today for grades 3 through 5. We also held our final school celebration last week, whole school bingo in the auditorium. Lastly, we want to wish Miss Lori Root, Miss Sally Stakem, and Miss Kathy Luzader, who was also just chosen as Green Mountain Music Teacher of the Year for District 5, all the best, and thank them for their contributions to RIS as they head into retirement. We also want to thank all of our families and community members who have supported RIS throughout the 24-25 school year. Have a wonderful, fun-filled summer. The Made Pause character trait assembly at Northeast was to recognize students who demonstrated positive leadership throughout the month. We also honored 1st grade teacher Miss Abatel, who is retiring after 22 dedicated years at Northeast. We enjoyed meeting our incoming kindergarten students and families at our screening in May, and our joint playday with Northwest in the rec at George Eddy II. Students and family also enjoyed a fabulous family engagement night of storytelling with Simon Brooks, bookmark making with Miss Amanda from the Rutland Free Library, and a literacy workshop for families with our Northeast staff. Every family went home with a bag of reading resources and a new book. We had a super fun field day last week, and we have enjoyed having Yes Plan students help at recess time, shadow teachers, and clean up our trails around the pond. We hope everyone has a safe, healthy, and happy summer and look forward to seeing you all in August. Northwest has had a busy month filled with lots of fun activities for both students and families. We had an amazing field day down at Meadow Street Park with several families joining us. The Rutland City Fire Department came and ended the day with a glass of water. We are very much appreciative of other support in this community for our children. We also met several incoming kindergarten students. It was simply amazing to watch the growth from the beginning of the year to the end. Seeing the incoming students always reminds us how little our students start their journey with us. As we culminate another year, I would like to say thank you to our students, families, and staff for a remarkable year. Keep some routines and structures in place for the summer. This always helps the transition back to school. Have a great summer.
Starting off with Rutland Middle School, RMS and RHS had a great time hosting students from our exchange school in Kolkata, India. This was their first time in Vermont and they loved every second of it. They got to meet Mr. Olson and Mayor Dunges, join RHS Yes Plans, cook with students from STC's culinary class, and much more. We look forward to enhancing this partnership next year. Miss Aston and Miss Kirk-Elkin just returned from Germany, which marks RCPS's 6th German cultural exchange. Both RMS and RHS students had a great 13 days there, attending school and living with the host families. We were thrilled to be able to include 6th grade in our Yes Plan this year. Students had non-traditional learning opportunities both on and off campus that introduced them to new experiences or allowed them to explore previous interests in a different way. We'll be spending tomorrow celebrating the students' hard work and clapping our 8th graders out to their next adventure. At Rutland High School, Yes Plan is underway and it has been another successful year. Students are participating in a variety of learning activities including books and cookies, investing, and day hikes. Police internships were a particular high point this year with students working at RRMC, GE, and the Rutland City Fire Department. Award nights are also happening. Last week, we conveyed 524 academic awards for students in grades 9 through 11. Tomorrow night, we will continue with over 186 awards for seniors. In addition, we will distribute over $144,000 in scholarships to deserving seniors. Graduation, the big night, will be on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. A special shout out to all the office staff who make the event possible and seamless. In particular, Rebecca Badgley, Kelton Myers, Cassie Smith, and Shayna Plouffe. For Stafford, on May 30th, we held our senior award ceremony where we recognized our 92 seniors. Aaron Pratt of GE Aerospace provided the keynote address acknowledging the long-standing partnership between Stafford and GE. A highlight of the event was the awarding of over $31,000 in scholarships to our students.
Thank you, Amelia.
My turn?
Your
Okay.
turn.
I was thinking, this is your last board meeting, mine too. One thing, this you could take a stand right now and make sure that graduation next year for Amelia occurs before the end of school rather than after the end of school. So she just gets a few more days off.
Do it. He said.
Do it.
Okay, I did it.
All right. Done. Done. Where do you sign? So we wanted to thank you for your service on the board, and I hope it was an enjoyable experience. I know at times, for me, sometimes boring, but probably not for you. But thanks for the time commitment that you made to it. I know it's a lot with you have a busy schedule and you have a lot of commitments, so it's hard for students to do this. And you were there all the time, helping us out, providing us ideas at the table and behind the scenes as well. And we want to we want to wish you a really successful college journey. You're going to Villanova, right? Villanova, that'd be fun to go to there. So as a token of our appreciation from the board and the district, we have a gift for you here, and then we have a nice plaque.
Hang that.
You'll hang that right in your dorm room. Yeah,
Exactly.
Right. Put it right on your door of the dorm room.
Exactly.
Yeah. And of course, you get to take your name plaque too. So
Been waiting.
that's right. So thanks for everything that you've done, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I have known her since she was in 2nd grade, and she holds a very dear place in my heart, as I did coach her in soccer. So I look forward to watching you in your future at Villanova.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and Greg.
evening, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce the incoming board representative. I am pleased to introduce to the board Danielle Goldberg, who I did promise did not have to say anything tonight. Danielle, the daughter of Dina and Ori, is a rising junior in the coming year. She started in Rutland City Public Schools as a kindergartner at Northwest Elementary School. Her high school activities includes the fact that she is a member of Club Giving as well as the Environmental Club. She is a musician as a member of both the band and choir simultaneously, and she's also an athlete who plays soccer, skis, as well as runs track. So it is my honor to present to the board our newest member, Danielle Goldberg.
Danielle,
Questions for me?
at the end of 2 years, you get this. So worth it.
So exciting to look forward to.
Right in the dorm room.
Right in the door.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Danielle.
You're welcome.
Danielle, enjoy your trip on Monday.
Okay, and now we have a tapestry and epic report.
Not another quiz.
So, thank you so much for having us back, our second time each year. And today I have with me Andrew Levesque, who is our sales coordinator at Rutland Intermediate School Tapestry. He joined us last summer, over the summer, and then assumed our second full-time position in our program, and we've been thrilled to have him. It's been a game changer. Just to point out, we are ready for summer. We've hired about 100 people for this summer to serve over 300 kids. It's going to be pretty amazing. So I'll let you know more about that in the fall. So just a quick reminder why we do the work that we do is to complement the school day and provide opportunities for students to become more and more engaged with their school, their peers, and the folks they interact with, the teachers and staff in our programs. And by doing so, research shows that they do better on proficiency scoring with math and reading, but they also, and we see this all the time, really gain a lot in terms of confidence and social emotional learning, and working with others, whether it's team building or navigating conflict. So we love to see that development from the fall to the spring and then over the summer, because it looks a little bit different when we have them all day, all week during the summer. So we have had a tremendous amount of success in this past year, in addition to hiring Andrew. We set into motion in the fall of 2022 a quality improvement plan, and we have achieved all of the goals in that plan. So at our leadership retreat this summer, we will be establishing a new plan for the next 18 months to 2 years. But just to highlight some of those things are really having high quality staff that's really interested in investing themselves and participating in strong professional development, rather than just coming so that they get paid extra hours to sit in the room and have someone talk at them. We have very high attendance now in professional development because we've made sure that it really is responsive to things that they're interested and want to learn to be able to deliver even better programming to the kids. Our staff still ranges from 17 years old to 80 plus. We have folks that are still in high school, obviously, to having a PhD and everything in between. So it's been really pretty neat to see that evolve. Our professional practice and improving that was one of our goals, obviously, if we're working with folks to give them professional development to improve. We want to see that improvement in what they're delivering to the kids. This is one set of lessons from one of nine group leaders at RIS this summer. And I think when you just kind of glance through that, you'll see direct correlation to portrait of a graduate, social emotional development, and student agency, voice, and choice. So we're pretty proud of that. And again, you know, that's one example from one location, but things have come a long way, and we're seeing the results of that. We also have been, with our 21C grants and being two 21C programs within the state, we've been very involved in things that happen, conversations that happen with other programs around the state. We are frequently tapped as a resource, whether it's to reflect on something and think about how to do it better even at that level with that group, or this year at the spring retreat of leadership that was held at Killington. Allison Benbay, who works during the day for the schools but also works for us as the lifeguard supervisor, was tapped to present on water safety to the entire group of 21C directors and staff that attended that. She did an amazing job putting together a very thoughtful and intentional presentation, and people had so many questions but also so many accolades for everything that she shared and how well she did that. Lastly, on the successes and achievements, Andrew's going to talk about the school day linkages, but I want to share with you, because I don't know that y'all know this yet, our EPIC grant for 2025 to 2030 was awarded.
Great.
We were able to we were able to increase our funding by 110%. So between those two grants, over overlapping 5-year periods, we brought in over $3 million just from those grants. So it's pretty good. I will cue that up with financial stability and vitality. I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I did want to share that highlight. And I also wanted to share with you, because I know Ted's talked about it from time to time, the child care benefits. And there's a tax associated with that went into effect last year. Our district comes out way ahead on that. Whatever we're having to pay in under the new law to support childcare is much smaller than the amount we get. My projection this year from July 1 to June 30 of next year is $1.4 million we should get from childcare benefits to help support kids in our programs attending for free. So to us, that's being supported by this federal, state, and taxpayer dollars. So it's a big revenue source for us and a really important one. So we work very closely with that office. Okay, so I promised Andrew was going to speak to school day linkages a bit, and he has some things.
In my position at RIS, I'm there pretty much, I have a lot of time to plan and to collaborate with school day staff. And being that I was completely new to the district this year, part of the mission I had was to forge relationships with teachers and to, incorporate their ideas and thoughts into how we can better incorporate after school and lean in and support the efforts that they're doing in the classrooms. So in having conversations, we identified gaps in literacy, gaps in math skills, and in having further conversation, we looked at what curriculum we could use to help bridge those gaps. So in terms of literacy, we're using the YouFly curriculum, and we're working with the illustrative math program, and we're really taking the aspects of those curriculums and we are gamifying them and making them fun and exciting. Because when we incorporate play into learning, it builds on relationships with the kids and it makes it fun, and students are more apt to retain it if they're engaged in moving and having positive experiences while learning some complex topics.
One of the things I love from a report that Andrew provided to me was he was observing in the class. One of the kids looked at him and said, see, we don't have to do math. We can just play games.
And
They were playing a math game. And I think it might have been this one. So this has the instructions on it, but I just thought I'd share that with you.
can do.
Yes. And you can take a look at those. There's a few of those.
Oh, boy.
And I'll pass a couple of you away for people to look at and pass on.
So what Marie is distributing is at the start of each week, students will get one of these checklists. Because at RIS, we have our days broken down into disciplines. So on Monday, it's a STEM day. Tuesdays are language and literacy days. So 3rd and 4th graders work on literacy skills. 5th and 6th, we incorporated a Spanish curriculum so that they're getting exposed to a foreign language at a younger age. Wednesdays are math lab. Thursday is student voice, student choice. And Friday is healthy, active lifestyle. So at the start of the week, when they get their sheet, when they move through each game, in either their literacy day or their math day, their group leader will sign off that they have completed that task, and it encourages them to kind of move through each skill and really build upon their motivation and momentum through the curriculum. That way they're developing more math and literacy skills.
So we have an example that you can watch from the site.
I'm the newest basketball player. I'm returning from pizza. I eat pepperoni pizza instead of cheese. Pizza.
Good.
Smile. I smile at my friend.
Yeah, so the literacy activity was just a simple roll and read. The kids will read, roll a dice, whatever number that they land on, they say a corresponding word in that number list, just so they can work on sight words. And also, one good thing is that it also really works on social emotional skills. You have students encouraging other students. We have our high school ethics student leaders working with the kiddos to encourage them and to help them move through tough situations. So really not only are they developing their literacy skills, but they're also developing social emotional skills as well.
Just a snippet of math for you.
Divided by 5 is 6.
Nice.
So, just to highlight again the EPIC grant, because a lot went into this and we completely revamped this whole program. The goals are up there, they're aligned with the school improvement goals as with the state. We want to support that, that's part of the language that we do. But what we really looked at were what needs students were identifying, and from some of the work here, that our discussions about community involvement is what are employers identifying as things that students need. That fed into Portrait of a Graduate, and it is very much telling us what to do in EPIC with 7th through 12th graders. And those things aligned with the key needs that they identified. Students really wanted to learn about life skills, whether it was cooking for one, or how to do laundry, working with younger students, so our high school students that work in our tapestry program, but also this spring, already embracing this new program. The middle school students decided they wanted to walk over from the middle school to Rutland and read with the kids over there. So they picked 6 days and they selected who of them were going to go. And they went over and read with the kids and had an absolutely magnificent time doing that. So there will be more of that. They're actually going to learn how to do laundry this summer. And they'll be going, one of our partners, we had 14 partners signed on to this grant from the community. One of them is Rutland Regional Medical Center, and they're going to go and do tours of the medical center to learn what types of opportunities there are out there for them. We as an admin cabinet did that, and it was really enlightening, and they agreed to do that with our students. So they're very excited about the possibility. And then in the fall, we also had Southern Vermont AHEC sign on, so they'll provide some virtual experiences for the kids in the school and show them some different types of roles that they can participate in, but in a way that they can actually be moving things around. I don't know if you've ever tried it, it's pretty cool, but I don't know that they would get similar experience as early and as readily. So we're doing that. So we're focusing on academic, yes, that's important, very important. We're continuing to work on youth leadership with a focus on workforce development. So the hospital and the credit union of Vermont have also agreed to come in and talk with our kids periodically about what it looks like to be an employee, to be an applicant for a job, how to look for a job, but thinking about things like showing up on time, what to wear for different roles. You know, you may not wear sweatshorts and a t-shirt if you're going to work in the emergency room to help in the waiting room or something like that. But all of this will also be combined with the clubs and things that we've all known EPIC to have. So we'll continue with cooking, we'll continue with Dungeons and Dragons, because those things complement all of this as well. So it will be a mix of all of these different things. Another great thing that came out of this grant is that we will have the opportunity to hire another full-time position that will help make sure that coordination between the middle school program and the high school program is happening, so things don't fall off. They continue, they may look different, but how is it supporting older kids as they go in and through high school? So we're very excited about this and the potential that it offers for our staff to work with kids and expand their own offerings, but to really engage more and more kids in more and more ways. So thank you for your support. Thank you for having us again tonight. And any questions?
I have a question. I'm not sure how I'm going to phrase it. So what I'm wondering is, it sounds like you have some funding that's coming, and you have a lot of moving parts and a lot of interesting things. And I think a lot of the things you showed is great with the kids and the activities that you're providing, like the math games and things like that. And one of the things I was wondering about is, do you have any agencies that you can model after? Is there anything upper level that you know has a great model that you can kind of look towards for ideas as far as what kind of games would be the best to keep funding this program that you're doing, as far as giving up some ideas, or are you just brainstorming amongst yourselves? I'm just wondering, are there agencies that do this kind of thing that you could look up to kind of see what they're doing that is successful?
So there's a plethora of information, model programs,
Gotcha.
curriculum, all kinds of things that we look at holistically. We researched to write the EPIC grant, and things that folks like Andrew go out and find. So yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because there's a lot of good ideas that you've already displayed, and I was thinking, if this thing grows and becomes something wonderful, it'd be nice to keep having that pipeline full of great ideas that you have
Well, one of the things that we've talked about, especially with the EPIC program, but, we're working on bringing all of this down to kindergarten over time, is working with the EverFi curriculum on financial literacy, for example. That goes K to 12. It's modeled that way, it's built that way. But how do we make sure that we're offering things so that if any kid comes into the program, it's available to the next kid that comes into the program? And it's not just what we were hot on one particular year. We need to have a core that is consistent and offered over the, 6 years that a kid could be with us in EPIC. But we also want to have change so that it's fresh and new.
Right.
So whether that's in adapting some of the core programming, working with different community partners over time, bringing them back, but changing it up, or what are all the different clubs that we're offering and activities that we're offering that can help complement that and create some freshness as well.
Very excited for you guys. And then my last question was the Tapestry as a name. How did that get started, and how did you pick Tapestry as a name? What is the history of that?
So my understanding of the history of that, because it far predates me, is it was looking at weaving all of these types of things together, whether it's community partnership, working with the schools, working with families, to bring all different types of resources and experiences to kids woven in a tapestry. I did not come up with that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Andrew. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Congratulations again, of course, on the renewal of the grant and all that. I know it's a huge grant. Writing is incredibly time-consuming, and yeah, congrats on that. So, every year I'm just really amazed at EPIC. Really, I mean, Tapestry, but EPIC, because these kids don't need aftercare, right? They are independent. They could go home and play video games and do nothing and, get in trouble or whatever, or just do nothing, except maybe laundry before their parents get home from work or something. But, so do we, I don't know if I even have a question, but just to say kudos on that, because it's always surprising. I don't know if you have numbers. I figured you did. I just, any number I feel like it just shows the quality of the programming, right? Because I wouldn't have wanted to go to, my one-off season was winter, and I liked going home and doing nothing, right? So it really is.
Plenty of
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
We're actually compiling them right now for
Okay.
the
Yeah.
24-25
Yeah.
school year.
Yeah.
So I didn't have them.
That's
yet.
fine. Yeah, no,
But,
that's fine. Yeah.
we serve hundreds of kids
Yeah,
in
that's crazy.
EPIC, not
Yeah.
just and then in Tapestry
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah.
and then for the number of hours that we serve them and the different types of programming that we provide to them, we
Yeah.
have all of that, and I will
Okay.
bring some of that back. I've actually been working with Bethany very closely. We were working on some stuff today to really look at how do we demonstrate the outcomes that our kids see and help attract more kids to the program.
Yeah.
But I want to just tag on to what you were saying, Mary, that I think it's the type of programming and the responsiveness to the student interest and need that they've expressed that is why so many kids 7 through 12 come into our program.
And they want to be there.
They want to, yeah.
They're choosing to be there. You're
Right.
absolutely right.
Right, because we've had conversations about the difficulty of students getting to sporting events, right, and getting to practice, and they're later in the day, and this is great, right? It's obviously right after school, and they just stay there, and they get home on a bus.
Mhm.
They get home on a bus, so yeah.
And they get a
yeah.
meal.
And they get a meal.
And for the summer programs, they're bused also, right?
It's crazy. It's good. Yeah.
And by the way, EPIC is free.
Free.
No cost to students and families.
I have a question. First of all, I think the programs are fantastic. My kids have both enjoyed both programs. The only question I have is that, and then this is something that I hear from other parents, and I'm at home with my kids, so it's not an issue for me, but I know that a lot of people rely on Tapestry for childcare. But at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year, there are gaps. Is there a way to try to fill that for these parents so that they're not scrambling to try to find childcare last minute, and
definitely on our radar.
Is it?
It's a
Okay,
very,
good.
very complex and difficult thing
Sure.
to fix. It's space,
Mhm.
it's staff, it's busing, it's everything.
I figured there were a
So,
lot of
no,
reasons
but this-
behind it,
no,
but
and
yeah.
I'm not pointing at anybody, it's their fault, it's not, it's a very complex thing to try to solve.
But you
so-
guys are trying to find a solution? Okay, good.
Yes, we'd love to solve that, but,
Yeah.
you know, even if you talk with other folks that provide like summer camps, it falls off by like August 10th
Yeah.
because the kids don't go back to college.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's similar but different,
Mhm.
and it's tough. I mean, you know, we're ending school tomorrow,
Yep.
so people that work for us during the day are still at work into next week. We have to do our pre-service next week because we start program the following week, so there's already an overlap.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example.
Oh, no, I understand, and I don't, of course, I don't know what the answer would be, additional personnel, something like that, but, if it's something that we can work toward for these parents so that they have that continuous care.
Yes.
Thank you.
So when do we see you again?
I gotta focus us on this.
Not yet. But I seem to recall it's like I differentiate.
I would just like to acknowledge the immense amount of work that must go into putting together such a comprehensive program throughout all of our campuses. It is really super impressive, and thank you, because it would take dedication and commitment to achieve what you've achieved already. So thank
We
you.
love it, and we're happy to do it. I agree with you, it's a lot of work.
They're great programs, thank you.
Oh, Patricia has a leg issue.
Oh, she does.
Oh
Her
my,
ankle?
must have. You've been running marathons? Running marathons?
I guess so.
I'm Patricia Agner, the Director of Technology for the Rutland City Public Schools. And I'm going to be sharing a quick update about technology. So one of my goals in talking about technology this evening is trying to align technology to our strategic plan. And Assistant Dan is here with me this evening, so I'm going to try and run through this whole presentation myself. So exciting. So we have a couple of areas of the strategic plan I want to talk about tonight. One is teaching and learning. And how do we tie technology to that area of the strategic plan? And so that's through critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and adaptability. And I'll talk a little bit about technology integration and coursework and how that relates to that area of the strategic plan. And then the next thing I'll talk about is priority area 3, which is resources for success in the strategic plan. And so that's about investing in a district-wide infrastructure. So that's focusing on functionality and reliability and innovation we're doing with technology. And then that last objective, leveraging technology infrastructure for communication, that's about communication with our students, families, and staff. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. So our goal is to have seamless technology experiences for our end users across the district, and we want the experiences to be reliable, consistent, and secure, with secure access to our systems. So last year we deployed 500 Chromebooks to students. We also deployed 138 teacher laptops as part of our equipment deployment model. And so we want to make sure that we have technology that's working and up to date, for both our students and our teachers. As far as major projects are concerned, over the past 2 years, we had a really large project from ESSER funds, and we finished rolling that out over the summer, and that was upgrading classroom displays. And you see these items here, but what you don't see when you see this list of items is the amount of teacher support that went into it. When you change things for educators, they need support, and sometimes multiple visits. So beginning of the school year, we spent a lot of time, visiting teachers and then coming back to classrooms, as they struggled with change. Because changing technology can be hard. Even a change in Windows can be hard. So those are the things you don't see happening. We also upgraded wireless access points, and that was a pretty big project, and we do that over the summer. And as that wireless and switching technology keeps evolving, we have to stay on the forefront of performance, reliability, and security. So those are some of the reasons that we're making those changes. In addition to that, we worked on some projects like new camera servers, door control software, that visitor management system that worked really seamlessly in some buildings and was really hard in other buildings. And we've been working on both, the invisible and the visible security in our buildings. And the other thing we've been spending a lot of time on is our cybersecurity posture, with lots of phishing training, robust endpoint protection software, and implementation of multi-factor authentication on our supported software. And when we deal with our insurance companies, we get this long list of things around cybersecurity now and general technology security that we have to answer. And so we're held responsible, for these things now, so we have to do a good job. The other thing we do is we work a lot with the maintenance department, so electronic door controls, HVAC packages, you name it. We've been doing server upgrades on software, and there's a lot of technology in place to keep this district running. And we have to keep things stable and secure because that's what we do. So our team works through a steady stream of large-scale projects on a continuous basis. One of the things that we determined was, I could talk about key performance indicators and things like that, but let's not do that. But one of the things we want to do is we want to bring you data. So this is a little bit of data about that investing in that district-wide infrastructure. So our network uptime is really good. It's almost 100%. Our device lifecycle management, that means our replacement cycle of equipment is about 5 years, so we try to get our money's worth out of equipment. But we also don't want to have equipment that's dirty, filthy, not working, and hand it to children or adults and say, I'm really sorry, this is just really junky equipment. So we want to make sure we have that turnover in equipment so that it's functional. Our cybersecurity incident rate I'll talk about in a minute, and then our backup and recovery success rate is 97%. So that's also, very good as far as industry standards are concerned. So this is kind of fun. So this is a snapshot of our cybersecurity incident rate. So we have endpoint protection in place, and so it's really hard to read that graph, but I'll tell you what I'm seeing when I look at that. So what I'm seeing are a couple of things. One of the things I see is that when we're going on vacation, and this happened to me on Friday night, I've told you the story before, Thanksgiving, Friday night, guess what I get? I get an incident, right? So we have these things happen around the holidays because they think, everybody is letting their guard down, and our employees check their stuff on their phones too at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning when their guard is down. I wake up, I wish they didn't, but they wake up and they look at their work email, and then they click on a link and they go someplace, and then they're telling me at 3 in the morning that they did that. So when I get up at 5 o'clock, that's my message. So these things are always happening around the holidays, and those peaks around November, December, January there. The good news is that our high incidents are not terrible. I mean, our very high threats are not terrible so far. So far, so good. I'm really proud of this slide. This slide is our phishing training. So I gotta tell you, we've got smart employees. So the industry phishing prone is at 19.8% for education because we're good learners, right? Teachers are good learners. So they learn what phishing looks like because we fish them. And we've got a really good culture here. So our culture is, if you see something contact us. If you have any concerns, contact us. So I get emails all the time saying, you know, do you want to share this? Sometimes it's something really awful, you know, and so I pass it along to Ted or I pass it along to somebody else and we make sure all of our staff sees it. But for the most part, our risk score is 16.2%, so our employees are doing a really, really good job. Moving on to learning systems. So this is that objective where we talk about how technology instruction and the use of technology can foster critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and adaptability. And I have some statistics here for you. So when I look at digital resource adoption, and I opened up some of our software and looked at it, we have 400 active Google Classrooms. And 3,702 student activity posts in Seesaw. That means kids are using it for curriculum and instruction and communication. And then there's a lot more, you know, when I talk about tools for kids and what they're using. When I look at coursework technology, and when I say coursework technology, coursework about technology, if we look at the high school, we've got 402 students who have taken RHS robotics classes, makerspace classes, coding, drawing for innovation, virtual reality. And today I went down and visited the kids who are doing robotics in their nest plan at the high school. And tomorrow I'm going to go down and see their showcase, but they're doing really, really great work. And then we have 469 students who get technology classes regularly at the RIS, and they're really, really good quality technology classes, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. And then at RMS, I'm sorry to say our teacher was out this year, but we were fortunate to get a sub towards the end of the year. And we all worked with him, we welcomed him, we worked with him on our technology teaching team. And I'm really happy that the kids had an opportunity, you know, to get a little technology this year, so I'm thankful for that. And then the last thing I want to talk about as far as learning systems are concerned are STEAM and STREAM programming. And STREAM is science, technology, reading, engineering, art, and math, which K through 2 does. So at RIS, RMS, and RHS, we've got kids participating in robotics. First year of our RIS robotics team, and they went on to the state level, so that was really amazing. And then all of our K through 2 students participate in STEAM instruction and STEAM days. And parents have even been involved with kids that have gone home around reading and STEAM. So that's a really popular program, and that's done through coaches. We have teachers that do a tremendous amount of work, and they have functioned as coaches up to this point. And then the last thing I want to mention is that really good coursework at RHS, RMS, and RIS, around STEAM integration. So our third graders have been producing things with 3D printers. We moved the laser cutter down to RIS, so they have a laser cutter now. So kids are having a chance to do some really intensive design thinking and creativity. And I have to tell you, the feedback from our littlest kids is off the charts. They love that 3D printer. They love designing something and then seeing it print out. It feels like magic. So I get it. So that last piece I wanted to talk about tonight, related to strategic plan, is communication. So I grabbed some more data for you. So when we look at Seesaw engagement, you'll see that we had 3,682 student posts, 43 teachers logged in, 155 students logged in, and families logged in 348. We want to grow that. So we want to build a culture around that piece, and we want to expand it to kindergarten through 6. So that's one of our goals. Below that, you'll see school messenger data. And you know, the really interesting thing about school messenger is it's not two-way communication, it's one-way. And when I look at that chart, what I see is that a lot of things go to machine, which is the darker green. So that's not part of the culture we're trying to build. That's just one-way communication, and it's important. People want to know if there's a snow day. I noticed that more people answered during one of those colder months, so I think they were hoping for a snow day.
No snow days, Patricia.
No snow days,
And
I
no
know.
snow days.
District Facebook page is up, and that's just the district page, so there's some new followers on that. That only gives us some monthly snapshot. That doesn't allow us for a longer snapshot. The same thing with Google. And then the website engagement for the last 12 months, you'll see that we had a little bump up, and we've had about 21,000 visitors. So all those things, we'd like to look at improving, but really that two-way communication is the most important thing. And that's part of our strategic plan. So, this piece is both about learning systems and investing in district-wide infrastructure, and this is about AI. And this is one of my passion projects. And teachers and I have been working on AI since, let me think about it. I think we did our first presentation on AI in 2019 at ISTE, virtually. So that's the first time we've ever talked about it publicly. So we've got a lot of AI pilots going on. We're exploring things like ChatGPT and Gemini, Notebook LM, which is a Google product, Canva Magic Studio, which is really such a fun product to work with for kids and teachers. Magic School, which is a really powerful tool for teachers to use, and Brisk. So we've been playing around with those a little bit because you have to have pilots. So my technology teachers, my colleagues and sidekicks, I'll say, do you want access to this? You can be the first one to test it out, and they always say yes, and I say thank you. So we've been quietly working on a K-12 AI plan. The strategic plan has been so important and a lot of other activities this year. So this has been happening kind of quietly in the background. We've got a draft format, and we've got work to do over the summer and next year. And really what we have to do is we have to engage people on the topic. It can't be, like I could produce it. I could do a really good job of producing it. But then it's not our product, it's my product. So I want it to be our product, and I want our teachers involved in it, and maybe the community too. And then the last thing I want to mention to you about AI is our training presentation. So Clarina and I went and presented about AI in the innovation space at ISTE last year in June, which was so amazing. It was in Denver. And ISTE is the International Society for Technology and Education. We presented Vermont Fest 24 about AI. We've been presenting about AI for about 4 years now publicly, all of our teachers actually. And then all of our technology teachers. And then I was a featured speaker at Chris McCall of 24 about AI. All of our IT teachers did the most amazing project this year. They were accepted as the ISTE ASCD AI Exploration Cohort, and they did a project where they built a chatbot this year. And they had to work together on it, and they did an amazing job. And this year I'm serving as an ISTE Generation AI Research Fellow, so I'm doing a project for us, and I'm working with people across the country, which is, it's a gift to us to be able to do that. And then the most exciting thing that just happened a few weeks ago is that Adam Brew, who's an RIS teacher, was invited to present at ISTE 26 on AI. And he and his students did a video for ISTE also, so twice, 2 videos, one in 2019 and then one again this year. So we're really trying to be involved as a group of teachers, and it's a passion project for all of us. So what are our upcoming projects? Well, we continue to invest in technology, and this is what's coming up on the horizon for this year. And again, you can look at these projects and you see projects, but then there are all the people behind them that need support and assistance. So, but you can also see as you look at these projects that we have to collaborate with a lot of different people. So from maintenance to the business office to cafe services, we're involved in a lot of things behind the scenes. And something I've been thinking about that I just wanted to put in front of you. is I want to put in front of you that we have some risks and opportunities in them. So the next 5 years could see a lot of changes in the way school districts operate. And as a department, we discussed some of the benefits and challenges that school consolidation could present. So there are maybe dozens, possibly hundreds of different software and hardware providers used by schools across Vermont. And integrating and standardizing them seamlessly is going to be a monumental challenge. So we can talk about consolidation in a very simplistic way, or we can talk about the real nitty-gritty of it. And having migrated our data systems once in 2009, the thought of migrating data across platforms that don't work together, and trying to get competing software companies to work together, and managing equipment and support from numerous vendors is going to make this really hard. So as you may be dealing with this in the future, I want you to know people will try and make it look simple. It's not going to be simple. From door controls to PA systems to fire alarms to cameras to all those infrastructure things to all that software, even our wireless systems talking to each other, our networks talking to each other, our student data and all the data we hold. It's going to be a messy and difficult thing. So, something for you to think about in the future.
Just a question, has the state involved any representatives from IT in this plan? That's what I was expecting, but I was hoping for better.
Are you planning to retire before that?
No, she can't.
Okay. Just making sure.
I have a quick question. Yeah. I mean, with all this that's happening, can you just give me an idea of how many people do you actually work with you, under you, around you, that help accomplish all of this?
So, that's fun. So, there are 5 technology employees across the district, and myself, and then we have 2 teacher leaders at Northeast and Northwest who are our STEAM teacher leaders. We have 1 teacher at RIS, 1 teacher at RMS, and 2 teachers at the high school. And that's it. That's us.
Big undertaking, like making sure all of this happens with the people that you have.
You have wild ideas, too.
Yeah, so my dad worked in IT for a while, and so as somebody who, when I was a kid, cleaned keyboards to help him out, yeah, that's a big undertaking, and there's a lot of work that's involved.
There's a lot of cleaning that happens during the summer. We bring back all the machines and all those Chromebooks, kindergarten through grades, and then seniors come back to us and Stafford. And so we do have 2 interns that come in. We may have 3 or 4 months. And we want that 3rd intern to start working on the phone project because
Oh, there.
we need to map out what ports are actually working
Oh, yeah.
in classrooms. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Smell.
The dishwasher kind of. I was wondering what that was. Great. I don't think I would have noticed it.
We like to keep pictures from TV that noted that there was a smell.
There it
Never
is.
a dull moment.
Oh, I was wondering.
So I just want to thank Patricia. Can I just jump
Yeah.
in? Sorry. Patricia, I just want to thank you. I mean, we are so lucky in our district to have you because your expertise spans not just IT but education, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much.
I love what I do, so I'm happy to be here.
All right, you ready to move into the strategic plan?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for having us this
Oh,
evening.
I do want to say one thing. The data that you bring is awesome. Like, we just crave the data and you just deliver. So thank you.
Welcome.
It's a big compliment coming from her, too.
So So
He's a data
we
person.
are here to give the end of year one update on the strategic plan. I feel like we've accomplished a lot in the first year of rollout, so we're going to sort of walk through an overview of some of the bigger, broader things that we have in place. Again, our 3 priority areas for teaching and learning: evolution of wellness through inclusive school communities, and resources for success. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about teaching and learning, and just go through each of the objectives. And what you have highlighted for you, in this case in green, are some of the bigger tasks that we undertook this year. We developed a literacy committee to take a look at our Tier 1 reading instruction. Many of you are probably aware of Act 139. Many of the requirements go into place in July, which has to do with K through 3 reading expectations in school districts and compliance with those. So that has required us to take a look at those practices. We have professional learning communities that have continued to review and adjust curricular documents and assessments. We have some teams doing some summer work through our grant funding to be able to continue on that. And then also in our August in-service, we will be doing some professional development aligned to data teams and professional learning communities K through 12. We are working on compiling a time audit that takes a look at our instructional time as well as our teacher meeting time and how we're using that time. Do we have enough minutes in different areas, etc. And we had a team that brainstormed connections for the portrait of graduate traits in classroom instruction. The next area is assessments. This year we have realigned some positions in the district. We have developed a multi-tier systems of support coach that was added through title funds. That position will be restructured a little bit as we move into next year and will become a coordinator position with some work to support all of the districts. Originally that was started with just all of the schools in the district, with just 3 of our schools, and we would like to expand that. On Monday and Tuesday, we have a cross-district team coming together to do some response to intervention training. We sent a team to an institute in Albany in March, and they came back saying, this is wonderful, we got to keep going with this. So our administrative team, some of our teacher leaders, some of the Tapestry EPIC leadership will be involved in this 2-day training to look at our systems and structures as we prepare to move into next year. We are currently reviewing our systems and structures, and we have developed a 5-year MTSS, that's multi-tiered systems of support, restructuring plan. We have done our data inventory and continuous improvement plans for each school, and I know that was like a 100-page document that was in the consent agenda in a previous meeting, but there's a lot of data in there for every school that we are required to comply with for the use of our title grants. So I encourage you to look through that data. It covers a variety of different areas, both academic and other areas. We are continuing, this year we did some additional assessment professional development in 7 through 12. And our strategic plan team drafted an assessment glossary that we will take a look at using throughout the district. So we're using common vocabulary amongst our teaching staff. And adjustments have been made to teacher leader positions and our coaching structure as we move into next year. So you may notice, if you compare the teacher leader section that you approved on your consent agenda tonight to the one from a year ago, we've restructured those positions. We now have some academic areas of focus like literacy leads in buildings and MTSS leads in each building that will be part of that district-wide team. So we're continuing to kind of look at how those teams can come together as a part of the strategic plan, regular meetings, and continue that work for the district.
Bianca,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know you said the MTSS is multi-tier.
Systems of support.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you.
includes everything from our universal instruction that all students receive across all grade levels to additional supports for students who are identified to maybe have some additional gaps in select areas, and all the way up to continuum of services. It really does look at both academics and behavior. Right now, we are focusing more on the academic side to try to look at our systems and structures across buildings.
How do you differentiate? I mean, I can imagine that a student who is out of control is not there to learn or can't learn that way. So how do you balance it out?
So I think Pam might talk a little bit about the
Okay.
continuum of services for behavior.
Okay.
But I think when we speak about academics, that's part of that data team training that we're undergoing is going to be how do we review the data that we have and the tools we have available when we look at an individual student's data, at a grade level data, at school-wide data to say, okay, these are some gaps in our educational programming. This student needs some additional support working maybe with an interventionist around a specific literacy skill. So all of that is built into the academic side.
Thank you.
And then the final area for teaching and learning is student agency. We completed a staff communication survey, and Patricia will talk about some of the next steps related to that. As you can see, there's a lot of crossover in the different areas of the strategic plan. And so we are developing some streamlined communication tools. We talked about that last time we reported out to you. The administrative cabinet and some members of the board have visited some of our local employers like General Electric and Rutland Regional Medical Center to start looking for opportunities for students and additional ways to collaborate. And Northeast had some training on restorative practices and restorative approaches at the beginning of the year, which we will continue to look at through the strategic plan to determine where we need to move that forward in other areas of the district. I'll turn it over to Pamela.
Thanks. The second area is the evolution of wellness through inclusive school communities. And so, as Bianca said, the teaching and learning, the multi-tiered system of support is focused a great deal on academics, but our first strategy this year that we were working on is to align and promote district-wide consistency when working through and addressing social, emotional, and physical needs of students. So we did an in-depth analysis of our resources and our practices district-wide. We identified some inconsistencies across the district and started to address those. We aligned our SEL, our social and emotional learning character traits, with the RCP as portrait of a graduate. We also identified some discrepancies in the district when responding to behaviors and how different buildings, different programs respond to behaviors, and we're working towards alignment in our approach. The same is true of alignment of our expectations with our K through 6 multi-age classrooms, and we identified some program differences 7 through 12. In our second area, we were focused on our staff and the work-life balance because we all know healthy staff promote healthy kids and better environments for students. So we did a work-life balance survey at the beginning of the school year. We worked with area businesses to create a staff discount card, which is something that had come from an idea of several surveys created by the staff. We also, the Vermont Path Wellness Program produces a whole lot of data about our staff wellness. So the group looked at that data and identified some trends. And we created a wellness group moving forward. In the you'll see that moving forward in the August memo, you'll see personnel memo, some wellness coordinators through PATH. There's already some folks that are identified. Every year they come forward, folks come forward if they're interested in serving in that role. We're also having an additional duty in that role moving forward will be to work together to promote wellness as a district and offer opportunities for staff.
Hey, Pam, I just have a quick question. Who is in charge of that data for Vermont Path Wellness? Who who collects that data? Do you know?
Beehives, correct? Yeah.
Beehive,
Okay.
and then
Yep.
it comes,
Thank
we have a wellness champion in the district who is a member of our teaching staff, and they share that data.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
And each school currently has a PATH coordinator or a PATH champion, and so we're looking at having those folks work together to promote district-wide initiatives to be able to promote wellness. Our last one is looking at our infrastructure and making sure that we have equitable access to all of our activities for co-curricular opportunities. And so one of the things that we did was we created and implemented a survey and analyzed the results for an Arcata 2 survey. The 3 to 6 survey is developed and ready to go out, and in all these surveys, we're looking at access to after-school activities and events for families, everything from sporting events and art events to evening family bingo. Like, what is? Are there any barriers that are getting in the way of families and kids participating? And we want to make sure that we start to work on some of those barriers that are being identified. We worked with Mike Norman, the Activities and Athletics Director, to better understand the importance of early involvement in athletics, which will promote later in school career participation. And we also talked with Mike about options and some of the barriers from his perspective that might be preventing children from participating, including busing and schedules and the locations of sporting events. And we also talked with community members about those barriers and obstacles and tried to gather some ideas of how to solve those. Any questions about evolution of wellness?
One comment I was gonna, oh, sorry.
No, yeah.
Comment I had was identify discrepancies across the district in responding to behaviors and working towards alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It must be hard to do that because younger kids and older kids, you're going to deal with them, I guess, differently.
Yeah.
Like,
it is, but like, so for example, restorative practices is really embedded in a lot of the work that we're doing in our younger grades, but as it gets older, as the children get older, we're not as much embedding that in our practices. And so we're looking for different ways to be able to do that.
Yeah, just a quick, so this would make sure that, say, all K through, 3 are all handling or doing everything similar. So there aren't the wide gaps or differences that there may have been in the past.
And also making sure that we have equitable resources across the district, yeah.
So I worked with a committee of teacher leaders on priority area 3 resources for success, and this year we talked about objective 1, which was staff. And it says recruit, develop, and retain highly qualified staff committed and connected to the ideals of the graduates. So one of the things we were able to do, and you saw the data already this year, was you saw some personnel information about reasons why people left the district over time. So we did that already. And so that graph of departure data was shared with you in a prior board meeting. We also have additional surveys we're planning to distribute, and this will be a district-wide implementation, so the committee work is probably done on that. A really interesting project that Bianca gave to me around this was around the mentoring program, and she shared with me a folder, and I printed everything, and it was about this deep. And I said to myself, how am I going to read all this, and how am I going to understand it? So, because I've never been a principal, so I've never supervised teachers. So for me, it was a little bit of a stretch and very interesting reading. So so I took all this information and I put it in an AI model, and I asked it to produce a rubric. And so I was able to consolidate the information down so that we could work with it in our committee, and everybody didn't have to read that and get out their orange highlighters and start highlighting, which was my other option, to get out the highlighter and start highlighting. So we used an AI tool, and I think that's going to be really helpful to us. So we're going to continue working on that mentoring program information, and I have notes for Bianca that we'll have a chance to talk about this summer. And then under resources for success, the other thing we talked about was continuum of services. So multiple committees were working on this topic, and so we were able to develop tables with leadership from Megan Marsh and share that and then hand it over to the district. So that is ready for work at the district level. And then the last one around infrastructure, I've talked about a little bit already, and we looked at some of the data. So this is about leveraging technology so that we can have clear and equitable communication among staff, families, and students. Some of the data collection has happened already among staff, and that happened on another committee, so they shared that with us. And in working with administrators, we talked about, what are your preferred products and your most effective products. So we are going to work with Seesaw for kindergarten through 6 for that two-way communication and engagement. And Bianca and I sat and watched a webinar in School Messenger for 7 through 12. And we need to work with the principals in 7 through 12 to talk a little bit more about that and connect with them. But, they've been a little bit busy. I'm just going to say that. So we'll get to that over the summer.
We all feel pretty good about the progress we've made this year, and we have some systems and structures in place to continue that ongoing work next year.
The administrative retreat, also known as a 2-day meeting, we will spend some time identifying which priorities we want to move forward, which ones we feel like are in a good spot, and some strategies to keep going with.
I have a quick question. So strategic planning and implementation of such is can be a really overwhelming task, right? And it seems like the 3 priority areas have, in each objective chosen specific strategies, for this past year, right? And so I think I just wanted to check in and see, now that year 1 is done, how are you feeling? Are we feeling like that's a lot? Are we feeling like we're in good shape? That's bite-offable. Just made that word up, but
It's always a lot.
Yeah, I mean, right.
If you look at the strategic
That's the
plan
problem with it, right? Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot there, So I think this year we had one plan. We pivoted a little bit
Got it.
as
Yeah.
the year's gone on. It's hard to just focus on one strategy because everything is so interconnected that you're going to end up doing pieces of other strategies.
Sure. Yeah.
I do think there are some that are multi-year and we will not be completed with ever necessarily if we're doing the work well, because it's part of the work we do regularly and ongoing, and we should be adapting and changing. And then there are some pieces that are a little too far out. If we don't have these other things in place, we can't fully implement those.
Right.
So that's kind of how we decided to prioritize and adjusted. From teaching and learning standpoint, that's where I'd say we were at. I think the work we'll do with teacher leaders at our teacher leader retreat in August will help kind of set the work of those instructional teacher leader roles throughout the year to continue the momentum within buildings.
Yeah.
I think the structure that we set up this year was effective. Bill had the idea of having, all of our teacher leaders and coming to our monthly meetings and having them work on a focused strategy and priority area. And that was effective. The same group was working, for the most part. We did have a lot of overlap. I would say that we did a lot of peeling back onions this year. It wasn't necessarily like, okay, this is our strategy and we're going to get there. But there was a whole lot of okay, we have the and we have the, and look at that. So I feel like some of it was discovering.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
I just think you've laid a great foundation from which you can build upon, and that's where it starts. And if your foundation is weak, none of it's going to succeed. So I applaud what you've done. I think you've really advanced it quite a bit, considering all of the other work you have on your plate.
I think it's hard too because there's not a lot of deliverables at this time. We're shaping it still.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing, in a few years, the fruits of your labors and we can reap those benefits. But right now it's hard to quantify what's happening because there's not much that you can deliver at this time.
That was sort of my question, was at the beginning of the year, there was some discussions about measurement and how to measure the results of the strategy. And so I was wondering if there had been any more I don't know, thoughts or realizations on the best way to measure it, or is that evolving as well? Were there some measurements and then it evolved to something else, or?
Talk for each of our areas. I think it depends on our area, on the specific strategy. So I could think of one off the bat, and we didn't necessarily write it down, but one of our discoveries in wellness was about how different the multi-age classrooms are between K through 2, 3 through 6, and then what happens moving forward. So in K through 2 in the multi-age classrooms, a lot of the students had a good amount of opportunity to work into general education classrooms, where what we were finding was in 3 through 6, home base, and most of them were spending a good chunk of the day in the multi-age classroom. And so in conversation and trying to, and thinking about our philosophy and what we want, they started to flip the coin and say, okay, so let's get the kids out. You know what I mean? So it was more kind of like an alignment of, so if I wanted a quantifiable number, I could say, you know, this many students had this amount of time in a general education classroom at the beginning of the year. Now they had this amount.
Mm-hmm.
If I needed a quantifiable number, I mean, I could do that. It really depends on the area as far as what our measurement could be.
Right. Well, so that I'm sort of just wondering, like, going forward, thinking ahead of, ahead of actually implementing a strategy of what success is going to look like.
You know when it's successful.
Right.
Yeah.
And having that discussion. So it's less intangible.
Yep. I think the measurement tool can be complex because sometimes it's more qualitative than quantitative, but I also think, we have survey results that we can, pull data from and say, okay, when we look at minutes of instructional time, that's a measurable. Are we able to move on that with everything else that we're managing? Are we able to show growth in how we're utilizing those positions or that time? One of the things we realized early on is a lot of measurables were like, well, we can survey people, and it's like survey fatigue, we can, but there's a lot of things to survey people on. Yeah. So we tried to be cautious about who we were surveying, how much we were surveying them. And so I think we have to continue to look at, okay, how else might we gather the right kind of data without having, and authentic data without doing the same method of collection.
So my question is really like, can you tell us what the ideal instruction time is, rather than just growth? Is there like a target that
we have that?
You have it. I don't need to know. I'm just wondering if there is are there targets set to meet?
There are, and then we are continually having a couple of conversations. One is, there's a lot of research out there that will say, and I give Justine Rutland a lot of credit for looking at what are other places in other districts, what are they doing with their time. Everybody has a different length contract day. Everybody has different priorities. So, if we say, oh, we think we need more minutes of reading instructional time, how do we get that in our day? Well, what else do we have in our day? We have community block. Is that important? What's the benefit of that? We have our fine arts block. Is that important? What's the benefit of that? If we cut into those things to get more reading instructional time. So it's always a fine balance. And so we are constantly looking at the schedule and all of, the constraints around that. But I think we are continuing to sort of move that target forward and push for more of, certain things and restructuring other things. The other component of that is looking at the resources we have. So, with the resources we have available within our approved budget, what can we do with that? Because we can be very pie in the sky and say, well, we can implement this really well if we have this, and this. But if we don't have those resources, I think part of the strategic plan is, as we are moving forward with developing our budget, ensuring that what we are aligning our resources to is connected to those priorities outlined in the strategic plan. I don't know if that gives you a direct response, but those are the types of conversations we are having. And the K through 6 principals have, here's a have to amount of time for reading instruction. This is like, if bare minimum, this is the ideal. And then each one is trying to look at, okay, so if I know I want to get towards the ideal, and what is the realistic, and how do I fit it all in?
When I do think about the 3 areas of wellness, I'm sorry, Shannon, there are like measurables for each that we have identified. I don't know if you want to know those or just that we have them.
Well, do I have those actually? I mean, are they in what we all shared at the beginning of the year? Like, I don't want to take up everyone's time if I actually have them. But I guess if anyone is interested in knowing what they are, we could ask you.
Yeah, I think it's a
for
great
them.
idea. To take what you're, just maybe I'm not understanding that.
Do you want to do
like benchmarks? I think would be
Yeah.
great. I
Yes.
think what you're
Yes.
saying is if we could benchmark, that would be helpful to understand. Versus, I like that more than I do a survey because I feel like sometimes the surveys aren't really, they can be skewed. But you know, if there's some sort of benchmark out there that you guys are using or have or know of or create.
I wonder if it would
be
make
helpful.
sense in our fall, because we'll have our our day with our teacher leaders in the fall. If that, we want to make that as part of our priority, so for each of the strategies that we choose for next year, identifying what the benchmark is so that we have that coming into the fall.
So we can develop those scorecard measures and develop those targets that you're talking about. And then the other thing we've been taking the time to report on are the status updates, so where we are in the process. So I think one of the things we determined this year is, as we were navigating this project, was that we were peeling back the onion, as we said. So as we were peeling back the onion, we were able to say what are appropriate targets for this project. So I think we'll be able to identify those for the fall.
Just for consistency wise, I think that would be nice for longevity reasons if we had some sort of set benchmarks that we all thought were important, that we could just continue with that. And then every year we could expect what those benchmarks are. We could look forward to saying, okay, well, we know they're going to present these benchmarks. Versus now, I feel like sometimes we just kind of forget, and then we see you in 6 months from now, and we come back, revisit a topic, and we kind of forgot what we were looking at 6 months ago.
It would be good to have something more quantitative, to look at over time, as you were saying. So, you know, in 5 years to go back and be able to look at those benchmarks. Not saying that the benchmarks wouldn't change, because as we work through it, they might change, but it would give a framework that an identifiable.
Some sort of core.
Yeah.
And it's nice too, because then, like, you know, when we have new board members coming on, you know, in March, then in April, you know, they can see kind of like the past and, you know, not because, you know, they may have not been, see the growth because they weren't necessarily here for previous meetings, so they may not know what we're talking about or what you guys are talking about.
The 10, 20-year plan, right? That's that is the portrait of a graduate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now, we have the very last superintendent's report given to you by the superintendent of the year, Bill Olson.
Yay.
I have no response.
I won't keep it there.
I was going to hide behind the mask. So Karen, for the last time, I promised to be brief. Do I have to hold my?
I said 10 minutes,
You
but
said
I
10.
think
You shooting for 5 or?
I'm shooting for 7. I'll give you 7.
7. All right. Here I go. We want to do a quick hiring update. You know, we had Colin brought up that word negotiations, and it was kind of a rough go for a little while. So that actually we couldn't really commit to hiring until we knew what the outcome of all that work was going to be. So we're a little bit behind the schedule than we normally would, although I don't think we're in too bad a position. But I want to thank the administrators and their teams who work on hiring all through the spring, who have done a really good job so far getting people, really good people to come to the district. You saw some of those names in the personnel memo. So thanks to the administrators and their teams. I also wanted to mention that in the consent agenda, you have the summer hiring protocol. And so, just for anybody who's new, to remind you that we're going to be hiring all through the summer, of course. And what we usually do is we'll send you maybe one by one or a batch of names. Maybe we'll wait for a few weeks and send a batch of names to you. And you'll be able to see who we're hiring. And if you have questions about that, you're going to ask, not me, but Pam.
We're calling you, Bill.
Yeah, you can call me.
You're the one that made the report.
But you'll check in with Pam if you have any questions or comments. If we don't hear anything, then we consider that person's hired, because we have to commit to people, of course. And then you're just ratifying in the August meeting, so that person knows that they've got a job coming up. Okay, so if that's not clear, then you can check in with us. So we have some openings. I just want to give you the rundown. And like they're really, I think we even have, maybe we might be able to close the deal on a couple even tomorrow or the next day. But currently at our HS in Stafford, I think we're all set. We don't have any openings right now. At RMS, we have 2 math positions, a math interventionist position, and a science position. At RIS, we have 2 elementary positions, a special educator opening, and a phys ed opening. And then at Northwest, we have a counseling opening, Northeast, a school psychologist, and possibly a special educator position. I think that's open, actually. And then Allen Street and PPLC, they both have a counselor position open. In district-wide, Bianca mentioned the MTSS coordinator, and we have 1 speech-language pathologist opening. And we always have openings for paras. If you're interested in being a para-professional, folks in the public, it's a great job. The benefits are really good, and you get to work with really nice kids. So if you have an interest in that, you're going to check in with Carrie Course eventually, right, Pam? You passing it over. Okay. So that's it for hiring. I wanted to thank, we had so many board members at the retirement reception that we had last Thursday, and we really appreciate that. I know the folks who are retiring appreciate your support and your attention, and it was really nice for you to be there. So thank you for that. They've committed so many years of service to the district and supported our kids, and you're supporting them by showing up, so thank you. I was really struck by that. Amaya and Amelia talked about the end of the year events. There's so many different things happening right now. Tomorrow's the last day of school. Is tomorrow the last day of school? No snow days. Did you notice that? You can thank me now. Thank me now. Nobody was happy at me earlier, but. So tomorrow's the last day of school, and there's a lot of unique learning opportunities happening. Like I just saw somebody sent to me a WCX story about. Not negotiations, about Yes Plan. It was great to see, and that was about Conrad Turks. He's an English teacher for the high school. He works at Grove Street, and he does a Yes Plan that involves a lot of outdoor stuff, but one of the things that they do is a community service component, and they were working on trails, helping to improve the trails over at Pine Hill Park. So there's community service things that happen through Yes Plan a lot, and it's a real benefit to the community, and of course, to the students who are learning from that.
I thought you were going to say super senior or something.
What's that?
I thought you were going to say super senior or something.
Bill's not that old yet.
That could be, maybe that's me. I just heard of another good example, and I just wanted to mention this because somebody wrote to me today about a Yes Plan run by Paul Sherrier, who's a math teacher, and Elizabeth Sampson, who's a math teacher at the high school. They do a fully community service oriented Yes Plan. And I got an email from Ann Carpenter, who you might know. She works for the guidance department, and she wanted to thank Paul and Elizabeth and 21 students who did a lot of work for them. Ann and her husband Rob's been ill lately, and so they haven't really been able to do some of the stuff that you have to do in the spring. And Paul and Elizabeth called up and they said, "What do you need done?" 21 students, like a SWAT team, came to their house and just cleaned it all up and did a lot of work, and Ann was really, really appreciative about that. It was
looks very nice.
Did you? Yeah, you live right by there.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Yep. So I think the Carpenters they had the class come on a rainy day and a Monday, and they were really appreciative. So
That's nice.
rainy day Monday. I wanted to thank Associate Principal Steve Sampson. He's the Yes Plan Generalissimo, and he's been doing Yes Plan for years. He runs that whole thing. Can you imagine trying to put Yes Plan together? It's a lot of work, and Steve does an excellent job on it. And he is. Are you retiring this year? Oh my gosh, he's retiring since
He
19.
took the chair.
He took the
He
chair.
must be.
That's right. He's been at the high school since 1994. He is one of the greats of Rutland High School, and the Carpenters who had the class come on a rainy day Monday, I would say to Steve, the Carpenters would say, "You've only just begun." So,
Oh, good one. That was good.
nobody was getting my joke the first time around, so I really had to call it out.
Did you get
Steve
that from
Sampson.
Glenn?
That was really good.
Thank you, Steve.
Congratulations, Mr. Sampson. Wish you well.
I want to put some of the attention on Steve.
No, we'll be back
No,
to you.
that's all right. We need some Steve Sampson faces. I wanted to congratulate the seniors and the graduates of class of 2025, and we have graduation
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, Thursday. Okay, Thursday at 6 o'clock at Spartan Arena. You got to get there early because it's hard to get in there, but it's a great space to have graduation. Also, Steve Sampson does a lot of work on that. I don't know what's going to happen when Steve Sampson leaves the high school. Who's going to do all the stuff? So it's so that's at Spartan at 6, and we'd love to have you there if you can come. You can march in the line with us too. We'd love that. And I want to congratulate the class of 2025 and their families for getting there. It's not easy. Sometimes it sounds like, that's not hard, but it's hard to get there. You always hit bumps in the road, so congrats to you and your families. And I also want to thank our teachers and all the different staff members who are involved, not just in Rutland City, but around the county. We take kids from all over the county who come to our schools, and thank all those staff members for the work they've done. I have over here our yearbook, and I wanted to thank the student group who does the yearbook, and Clarina Renfrow, who's also an IT teacher. She leads that work. They have a really nice yearbook this year. We have a copy for you. You can look through it. If you want to decide you might not want to keep it, you can keep it if you want. If you don't want to keep it, we can always find a good home for someone who wasn't able to get one. So I'm going to pass those out right now.
Here, okay. Yeah. Here, I'll just hand it to her. We'll do this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, yeah, please.
Thank you so much. Look at that.
Thank God I got one.
We'll cover it.
Love the,
Oh, the cut.
I always think so often in my job, what would Dave Walk do? What would Mary Moran do? Mary Moran would not pass out the yearbooks in the middle of the meeting. She'd say, no.
Now we're going to look at them.
That's right. Everybody's going to look at them.
I see that it's dedicated to Mr. Bill Olson, superintendent.
Yeah. How about that? That was really, really nice. I appreciate that. So while you guys are looking at the book, I will keep on talking about H454. There's been a lot in the news about it. We've heard stuff, but it's kind of like it's come out of the Senate, and then it goes into a conference committee. That's what they're working on now. And I think there's a meeting tomorrow that you actually could watch on YouTube.
It's at 10 a.m.
It's 10 a.m., right? They have to iron out the differences between the House and the Senate version. There was, I don't know, maybe you saw it, Jen, there was a, VSBA sent out the version that shows color codes, what the House is saying, what the Senate wants. It's 155 pages, just came out today, wasn't able to read it. But if you want to look at that, you can. That work is going to happen, and then it has to be approved by the governor, and it's not clear whether the governor is going to like what this committee is creating, so it might not, maybe that's not going to be what the final version is. So we'll see how that progresses, but that's worth paying attention to in the news. And last, my time in this job is so limited. Less than a few weeks. Oh boy. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciate working in the school district, and I'll really be short on this, but I appreciate that you as a board and the families and students trusted me to do these different jobs that I've done through the years. I've loved all these jobs. Somebody just said to me, "What's your favorite job?" And I said, I think that I like them all. And the best thing about this job, I think, is working with the really great people that we have. Students who are fantastic. We have great staff members and really nice families, and we have a board that truly supports what our mission is. And I said this to Sophia, I think, a little while ago. I said, our board is completely supportive of everything we're doing, and our staff, and our kids, and yet our board also expects accountability. And so the questions you were just asking, those three were really good questions. Like, we want to see what are the good results going to be. We want to have some kind of measurement. We want to see good results, and that's what a good board should do. So I just want to thank you for trusting me to do the job. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. You have an incredible leader coming in Pam Reed. She's going to be awesome. She already is awesome. She's I really. Yeah, we can make this about Pam too. Let's talk about Pam more. So you talked about what you're hoping to see in a couple of years. I'm going to watch on TV too, and I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen.
I feel sorry for you if that's the best you can do.
Tuesday night there's nothing on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I won't necessarily say goodbye, but I do want to say thank you. I appreciate everything that you all have done for me, enriched my life. So thank you. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
If I could say something.
Please.
I feel that you are Superintendent of the Year for a reason, and I think one of the signs of a great leader is the fact that you have the respect and of all the people that are working for you in the district. We obviously did our evaluations. You had your evaluation, and there was a lot of good things being said from everyone about you. So I commend you for the wonderful work that you've done and being such a great leader and support for the administration as well. I think it's great. We wish you well.
Thank you.
May I? So when you started as superintendent, we were going into a pandemic. I mean, you have seen I can't think of any more difficult situation that you could have faced than the ones that you faced in terms of board issues, world pandemics. You followed a temporary superintendent after a very notable superintendent experience. So I just want to thank you for staying with us through all of the difficult times, because there's been quite a few. There's been a lot of really good laughs and fun, but there's also been some tough times, and I always felt your support through all of it, and so thank you.
Thanks. It was a lot of good laughs. I agree, and I think that when I started, not only the pandemic, but I think that was the beginning of the end for the Patriots. The Patriots started. They haven't recovered since.
And you've taught me the value of a good joke. So thank you for that. I'll carry that with me.
Glenn Scott, especially.
Yeah, and Glenn Scott too, who's hiding back there.
A lot of good things were accomplished.
Yeah.
I also want to say thank you and congratulations on your next chapter. There have been, I think you're probably the person I battle with the most in executive sessions that none of you see. But I have learned from some of them, and I believe, the last 6 months, definitely have been rough, and the respect that I have gained for you that I already had, but just intensified even more in the last 6 months. So, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate it. It's never, just to clarify, the battles, it's never physical except
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did it with arm wrestling.
But, yeah. Those who have been in the executive session know what I mean.
To clarify.
Can't read your next.
Yeah, right.
Thumb wrestle. We could do the thumb wrestle.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yep. I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't prepare anything, but I just never, when I got on the board 3.5 years ago, when it was, Courtney and Sarah and I and Karen, we came in at the same time. I didn't realize the type of friendship I was going to get out of this position. So I'm really glad to call you a friend and to have you as a mentor. So thanks, so.
Likewise.
And just a little something that from the board.
Oh, should we do the other one?
No, we'll do that later.
Oh.
This is just a card and a little gift inside from the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
No.
What is that picture?
You're
Oh, that's the shell.
She's on the wallpaper a room with them.
Yeah.
We got, so what do we get? We've got a younger version.
Yep.
You got a crown on,
What
with a
exactly
mask.
is he doing in that one?
It's got a shell.
It's called.
Oh,
I thought it was Santa's beard or
I
something.
thought it was spaghetti.
And Sarah has, you have some sort of headdress on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just another lovely picture of Bill. And then, of course, your wife was from just last week at the retirement. Of course, the baby, Declan, made it. Another lovely picture. That was, you have on...
Willy Wonka, right? Is that Willy Wonka?
Oh, that was Willy Wonka. Yeah. Amaya got Amaya got the portrait of a graduate one. Will you show him that? So it's got a picture of you, but it's a portrait of you. And then so
Thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I think it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Okay, so thank you. Committee reports.
Okay. So I am giving the combined committee report for the Building and Finance and Strategic Plan Committee. We met as a group last week. There were 6 board members along with Bill, Bianca, Pam, Glenn, Tim, Sarah, and Bethany got to join us outside of Longfellow Building, so that was fun. Throughout the years, you guys, through presentations, and we've all joked one of the big things is about being on the school bus. So last week it came to fruition. We got on the school bus. We started in the amazing renovation of the auditorium at RIS, and then we did a walkthrough of RIS and saw some ESSER. The big focus of the joint meeting was to look at ESSER projects that have been completed and that are going to be continued, just about completed, and other various renovations and updates of the last few years. So some highlights that we looked at, again, was the RIS auditorium. Then we looked at the flooring in the classrooms. And then we walked over to RMS, and as we kind of went outside of RAS, the gym, the dungeon, then we got to walk by a baseball game, and we cheered on the middle school baseball team a little bit as we were walking by. And then we got to see the beautiful, amazing outdoor space, learning space outside there as well. And then my favorite part, and I asked if we could take a few minutes to look at the former bomb shelter. So that was kind of fun, and some people were a little nervous about going in there, but it was fun. And then we hopped on the bus and we drove to RHS in Stafford, and we saw an amazing thing that's going to be coming through this summer. A project is the life skills classroom, that it's a grant-funded project, which will be the future home of a kitchenette and laundry used for life skills in other classes to teach students important life and well-rounded educational experiences, and it will alleviate the building that we currently use for life skills on Stratton Road. And a big part of our conversation, which is kind of where we ended, was seeing the front circle, and definitely there was some memories of Christina and Charlene talking about their time at RHS, and Bianca's senior pictures were taken there, and there was some poses going on, and so we also in that, we talked about various future projects, and sorry, I can't read my own notes. And that we want to, as both of the committees want to extend the thanks to Abby Brodowski and Rob Bliss, who neither of them were there present, but Rob was there via text message with Bill and was giving us highlights via text message of different parts of the buildings for all their work that they did in the ESSER grants and all of that, and also to Glenn and his entire staff for all of their work in the last several years in keeping our buildings up to date and professional looking and using the ESSER funds to the best of the abilities. And we ended, which we kind of ended twice, so we ended in the circle with Bill giving us a performance with the conch shell over there, and from my understanding, some of you guys have had some good, him using that several times. And it was a really nice way just to kind of like end the night, and there was definitely lots of laughs. And then we boarded the bus back to RAS, and Charlene went on a mission to find her class's little brick. So that was fun.
She's got all the highlights.
I do. It was just a nice opportunity to get out of the courtroom. And the auto tech class at Stafford is going to be being redone this summer, which with painting the walls, update the floors, installing new lifts, welding shop. We had some ESSER funds used to install new state-of-the-art air circulation, hallway flooring. There's been some kitchen updates at our MS or RI, anyways. So anyways, and there's very detailed notes by Miss Bethany, and at this point, our next potential meetings, which should be September 2nd, building at 5 o'clock, and finance at 6. Mary Beth, anything else I have to add?
I think you did an excellent job, Stephanie.
Thanks.
And I think Bethany should be commended of doing minutes while we're
Yeah.
walking around and she's taking notes, and so thank
They
you, Bethany.
came to us and I was like, how did she take such
know.
minutes? Oh my God.
I know, it was impressive.
Thank you, everybody.
We thought you were there just for fun. We didn't know you were actually taking minutes.
I didn't even see her do it, so that was pretty good.
Thank you, Stephanie. So we have a little unfinished business.
Sure, is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah, I
please.
just wanted to, on behalf of the board, officially thank Sarah Dungus and Justine Franco for their dedication to the community and to the kids and to the staff and to the board and to everyone for serving for the time that you did, Sarah, certainly, and Justine as well, who wasn't able to be here tonight. We may have noticed that Justine was in our personnel memo and has been hired. Okay, I say this, that's why she resigned from the board, because she can't be on the board and worked for the district, of course. So anyway, and Sarah's got some exciting family things going on. So anyway, on behalf of the board, thank you. Yeah, thank you both.
Do we have any new business? Okay.
Nope.
So I entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of consideration of the evaluation of an employee, the premature release of information regarding the subject which would place the board at a substantial disadvantage. We'd like to invite Bill Olson, Pam Reed, Bianca McKean, and Greg Schillinger.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?